So I wrote 2 speeches for today. I wrote a brave one and a safe one, and I said I'd go with my gut when I got up here. So will I do the brave one?
Yeah!
Okay, here goes. More than 100 years ago, the suffragette Alice Paul described the women's movement like this. Each of us puts in one little stone, and then you get a great mosaic at the end. The suffragettes won the vote, but they also laid the groundwork for the mosaic of rights and freedoms women enjoy today. All of us have come here to lay down our own little stones. I can feel the weight of them in the air. I can feel the weight of this stone too, which my wife carved for me yesterday after she read this speech. And I can feel something else in the cold air in Dublin today. I can feel the presence of other survivors here. There are more than a few of us. Can you feel it?
Yes. Yes.
I stand shoulder to shoulder with every one of you. None of us are alone today. And I know that everybody here stands with us in defence of vulnerable children. Hurt, lost children like little me, who I rescued from those rooms where she fought monsters in the dark. She's right here with me today, protected and fierce. I can almost feel her hand in mine. I'm thinking of my own children too today, as I do every day. I swore a solemn oath to them before they were born, that little people will be safe around me, that I will be the last person my difficult childhood hurts, and that regardless of the cost, I will speak the truth, take names, and set boundaries when it comes to safeguarding children.
Hear, hear!
As you may know, I've been vocal about doing just that on my Twitter account, FemLoves. Last summer, I wrote a series of threads and articles about safeguarding. They were intended to help people, and they have done. My inbox is full of messages from survivors who tell me they feel seen, heard, understood, and less alone. But my most cherished messages are those from the mothers who've read my threads and were brave enough to take action to protect their children based on what they learned. Unfortunately, one of those threads was reported to the police by a man I didn't even mention by name. And for a month now, I've been living under first the threat of arrest and now the threat of prosecution. All the while, I've kept my silence about the complainant in this case. But increasingly, as time goes on, I've been asking myself one question. Who is emboldened by my silence? I know the answer, and so do you. In the light of the promises I made to my children, the answer to that question shames me. I know more than I want to about paedophiles, predators and perverts, and I know this. They get really cozy, really fast with particular types of people. People who advertise their vulnerability to grooming, even through their silence. I'm here today to tell you that I am not one of those people. I'm here to keep my promise to my children. And I'm here to tell you that if calling out rhetoric that endangers children is a crime, then I'm taking my crime spree across the border and making it international. Yeah! I've not been charged with anything, so there's no court order restricting me to silence about the name of the man who reported me. However, some might say it's best to avoid pulling tigers by the tail. But David Paisley is not a tiger.
Yes. Yeah. He's a bully.
David Paisley is a hurt little boy. David Paisley is the boy who cried wolf. A hurt little boy who in his hurt lashes out and hurts others. It's hard even to be angry with him when he probably isn't capable of grasping how or why his words are so dangerous. For the avoidance of all doubt, I am not accusing David Paisley of being an abuser, but he knows nothing about how to keep children safe, and like an entitled little child, he wades in anyway, thrashes about, and muddies the waters of this debate. I hate to see little boys hurting, I really do, but I have to treat Paisley like a man whose rhetoric blurs the boundaries on child protection, a man who attempted to dox me, and in his genius concluded that I resided in London.
So don't we all live in England?
Do you think that's in Northern Ireland?
A man who repeatedly, over the course of a week, reported me to the police for my tweets. I do not owe him kindness. I do not owe him protection. I do not owe him my silence. And silent about that man's wrong-headed interventions in this debate I will no longer be. In the wake of the Wee Spa incident, where an adult male exposed his genitals to women and girls, Paisley tweeted, and I quote him directly, "Bodies are just bodies. When did we get so weird about the idea of seeing another human?" And he wrote this whole moral panic stranger danger thing about other people's genitalia is mad. It's practically a condition. Let's call it stanolanditis. Perhaps most egregiously, in the context of the same debate, he tweeted out that he shared a bath with his mother in childhood, that she watched him pee, and that he provided her with personal care when she was ill. I'm raising sons. I believe he's telling the truth, but it would never cross my mind to mention that kind of private detail about my relationship with my boys in public, let alone to use it to justify adult males exposing their genitals to women and girls they do not know.
Yeah.
But Paisley doesn't matter. Not really. Who is he even? He's nobody to me. He's a sideshow, that's all. The people who matter are the survivors. We're called survivors, by the way, because not all of us make it out. I'm thinking about those survivors here today, and those in my inbox. I'm thinking about little me too. She's safe in my heart, boundaried about and well beloved. And I'm thinking about my children, who I would protect with my last breath. And I'm doing my best to honour the promise I made to them before I ever held them in my arms. I regard promises as sacred. I've only made 5 promises in my whole life, and I've kept all of them. But I promise you something today. I promise you that if you will have me, I will stand with you. That I will bring my little stone, this little stone here, that I will carry close to my heart, and that no matter what water has passed under what bridges, I will lay my little stone down beside yours, beside yours, beside yours, beside yours, beside Alice Paul's and beside the suffragettes, on the streets of Dublin, beside Rachel Moran's and Radical Eames and Women's Space Ireland and the LGBT Alliance Ireland and Graham Linehan and Alicia de Bruins, beside Isle Waits and Stella O'Malley, on the streets of Belfast beside those of my sisters working behind the scenes in Northern Ireland, and over the water too, beside Maya's and Alison's and Marian's and Helen's and Kathleen's and Sonia's and Bev's. I will lay my little stone down beside the stones laid by all the anonymous Twitter accounts across these islands. And perhaps most importantly of all, beside the little stones of many colours laid, one conversation at a time, one risk at a time, by ordinary men and women and families, in homes and in communities. But we won't make a mosaic of our stones. We'll raise up a wall, a shield wall around vulnerable children, a wall to protect the innocent and keep out those who would harm them. We have a common cause and a common enemy, and if we can stand together, shoulder to shoulder, we will win.
Oh, that's too near now. Okay. Not to lose all that goodwill. Right. So we're going to storm the place, yeah? But we have to go individually. I apologise, a lot of people don't need to hear this, but there's a few who might. This is kind of an odd fight we're in. Oh, you got here? This is kind of an odd fight we're in, because most of the people involved are women. And I sometimes feel like there's a reluctance to express anger from women. So today I want to talk about how you need to overcome that reluctance and enjoy and take courage from your anger. Sometimes it feels like we've already lost this one. So much has already been taken away. The privacy, safety and dignity that come with single-sex spaces are gone, even to the most vulnerable women. Women in prison or in rape crisis centres or shelters can no longer be certain they are safe. The thrill of competing, the level playing field of women's sports gone, with cheating men in women's categories, stealing their medals, their records, their careers, and worst of all, the threat to children. Dangerous experimental treatments that leave them infertile, depressed, and in need of constant, painful correction. All happening in plain sight, with our politicians terrified of challenging the faithful. That sounds familiar to me, as I'm sure it does to you. Ireland is once again offering up its women and children to a religion cooked up not in the Vatican, the source of so much historic injustice, but in the halls of American universities and the endless show trials that pass for online discourse. The Magdalene laundries are gone, but the priests who ran them and the nuns who collaborated are still with us, using the familiar weapons of faith and shame. So today I want to encourage you to do a single simple thing. Take the anger you feel that all that has already been done in secret so far, and use it, channel it, let it give you the hope and energy you need to fight this. Get angry. Get angry at the politician who allowed self-ID to pass in the dark. Get angry at the school teacher grooming your child into this ideology. Get angry at the press for looking the other way. Angry women are terrifying. Ask any married man, which I used to be. And that's why there's not more men here. They're scared of you because you're angry. That's why television don't dare put a gender-critical feminist on screen, because their anger would make every television in the country explode. You want to see fireworks? Have Colm O'Gorman tell Helen Joyce that trans women are women. That Eddie Izzard is the same sex as her. Have them say it to their faces. They wouldn't dare. They know they wouldn't leave the studio in one piece. Now, some of you may be frightened of your anger. I understand. Mine has got me into a lot of trouble. And the new priests can be pretty frightening. And their demands that you feel shame for standing up for your humanity can be convincing, echoed as they are by the faithful all over social media. So if you ever find it faltering or fading in the face of opposition, you just have to ask yourself a few questions. How many more women should be raped in prison? Not one more. How many young girls should cut off their healthy breasts or take drugs that destroy their sexual pleasure?
Not
one more. How many women should be driven offline, have their livelihoods threatened by young misogynistic men with purple highlights in their hair? Not one more. How many more bomb threats delivered to J.K. Rowling will we stand for? Not one more. How many more women should lose a place on a podium or in an awards shortlist taken by a cross-dressing autogynephile? Not one more. Don't give an inch. Don't give them an inch. Don't give up a single right that was fought for 100 years ago. It's not enough to resist every new outrage. We have to undo the outrages that have already been committed against you. If you see a unisex changing room, complain. If someone calls you cis, tell them I find that word offensive. And if you see a man that's in a space that's meant for women, speak up, summon up the furies, get that look in your eye that turns every man's blood to ice. Because finally, it's your anger that will win this fight. I get angry all the time and it does nothing, because everyone just thinks I'm mad. But if every woman here gets angry and encourages every woman they know to get angry too, then this absurd, incoherent, irrational, misogynistic, homophobic fad will wither and die, and not a moment too soon. Thank you.